White says that the leak at this wellhead has reached about 250 feet away, and it's killing any vegetation in its path. Moving it, they're still ripping up road. They are working as fast as they can, Matthew, to solve this issue. As for when it's going to be solved, we don't exactly have a word yet.
The modern world is driven by social media and vertical video, which drives journalists like me insane.
Something that continually draws me there.
That's a video from late June when CBS 7 spoke with Pastor Jesse Gore about his upcoming trip to Ukraine. I will say that while traffic is still moving at a pretty good clip, there's much less of it on the road than there was about an hour or two ago, which you wouldn't think with about 6 p.m. rush hours. But another problem is that this road, when it was reconstructed, was built too high, which means water can't flow over the road, but instead winds up getting pushed right back into people's houses. The problem is this is not 1922, but actually, this is all happening in 2022. But if the judge rules in favor of the plaintiffs here, then these two go away, and that basically means an entire reset for the E-Cut election process. You might hear Jeter and Finch and think, well, that's right next to Hayes Magnet Elementary. In fact, it's 10-15 yards right on the other side of the street from me. However, ECISD officials confirmed that the school was not involved in any way. It's time-consuming and exhausting. But lately, the city is providing a virtual option for citizens and lazy journalists, and that's driving up engagement. You can see blown-out windows, boarded up windows, and if you actually look closely inside, you can see where some of that structure has actually collapsed in on itself. And with such a historic building being so completely damaged, it has residents around here saying, what's next? You know, wherever you go these days, there are rules, like CBS 7 requiring its reporters to dress up for stand-ups. The first thing most people do when they find this looking back at them is call a plumber. And with the hail and the rain falling so quickly, it clogged the drains in this area, leaving the water to pool up. And the only place it could go was back inside. Reporting outside in the heat in a black suit, I'm Joshua Skinner, CBS 7 First Alert News.
I don't know if and when it's going to stop.
The small city of Pecos, Texas has a population of about 12,000 people. It's known for its rodeo and oil and gas, but lately it's steaming towards a far different reputation. And that has local residents like Derek Zubeldia worried.
We'd like to be known for the wonderful things that are actually happening in Pecos and the great things we got going on versus our immigration camps.
Now called an influx care facility with its own medical center and administrative offices, the original site at Target Lodge Pecos North was set up to hold around 2,000 children ages 13 to 17. That number is expected to increase drastically.
I've heard numbers collectively as high as 5,000 children here in town.
The influx center isn't large enough to accommodate that many children and the workers necessary to care for them, so the government has quietly scooped up nearby land. One man camp on the west side of the city is deep into renovations. It's expected to initially hold around 1,000 children. To care for the increased number of migrants, another site is being constructed south of I-20, which will house around 1,300 workers. And that's creating a citywide parking shortage.
The parking is overflowing so bad that they're going to put the parking on our rodeo grounds.
In all, City Manager Charles Leno expects the population to bulge by up to 40%, seriously straining town resources.
It has been taxing on our EMS services. It's been taxing on our police department.
In a release to the city back in June, the Office of Refugee Resettlement stated it had about 1,305 children in care at the site. But the city and Reeves County rarely get updates on the number of children present or incoming. That lack of information has also confused residents, some of whom told CBS 7 they thought this construction site on I-20 was also a migrant facility. It's actually an Armadillo hotel.
Collectively, we feel as a city, along with my city council, that we're getting partial information. I don't know that we ever get the full story.
But most worrisome might be the loss of tax revenue, because migrant camps aren't subject to the same tax guidelines as man camps. Leno says thus far, that's resulted in the loss of about $300,000 for the city. But at the end of the day, the camps are on private land, and the government isn't doing anything illegal, leaving Pecos and its residents to watch and worry.
It's a tidal wave.
Right, Matthew. As you can see behind me here, this is at the corner of Jeter and Finch, and you can see the house right here where this incident occurred. Now, what you might hear Jeter and Finch and think, well, that's right next to Hayes Magnet Elementary. In fact, it's 10, 15 yards right on the other side of the street from me. However, ECISD officials confirmed that the school was not involved in any way. It was not shut down. It did affect maybe a little bit of the morning commute, but there was nothing really involving the students, so everyone's safe from that regard. Now, here's what we do know about this. Around 2:40 this morning, police were called to the corner here at Jeter and Finch, where they found a man who appeared to have been shot to death on the front lawn of the home right here on the corner. A person was detained at the scene. That person was then taken to the Odessa Police Department. We don't have any word about whether any charges have been filed against this person or any other details about this person. But when we did arrive this morning at around 8 to 8:30 this morning, there was still crime scene investigation units. They were still out here combing through the property, looking at things. There was still tape and everything, police vehicles all up and down the street. But by 9:30, they had started to move out. Now, we will continue to update you as more information about exactly who was involved in this shooting becomes available. And one more time, Matthew, I do want to mention again that Hayes Magnet Elementary, everything at the school is fine, nothing involving the students or the school at all here. Matthew.
You hear all these things about kids and guns. It's a little different here.
For nearly all West Texas kids, it's back to school season. But for some, it's back to the range season.
I mean, this club, it grows every year. We get new members every year.
For Permian Basin Young Guns, that means displaying some national championship hardware.
This year we had a squad come in first in pistol optics, rimfire pistol optics, and second in rimfire pistol.
It's a big accomplishment for a nonprofit whose pistol program is only 2 years old. And it's being propelled forward by a bevy of young marksmen with attitudes.
What are we doing here today?
What am I doing? I'm practicing.
And practice makes perfect.
So there's a bunch of steel plates, and you shoot them as fast as you can, and you make sure you hit them.
Lucas Bland won first place in the rimfire pistol irons category at the Scholastic Action Shooting Program Nationals in late July. But it might be Allison Batriel who is the program's biggest star.
Yeah, we had one little girl right now that shot 1.13.
That stage, I was shooting about a 118.
What's considered fast?
That.
Also on the senior team is relative newcomer Zane Ice, who I interviewed last year.
Well, if I was shooting the stage, I might shoot a 4-second, and now I can shoot a 2-second time.
Now all that winning has him talking smack to his opponents.
They think we're the best. They know, they've heard us all around. They know who we are. They want to try and beat us, but it's not going to happen. So, not while I'm here.
And so as the school bell rings, so too does the timer. These young guns.
I plan on shooting for the rest of my life.
In Midland County, I'm Joshua Skinner, CBS 7 First Alert News.
The modern world is driven by social media and vertical video, which drives journalists like me insane. But my problems are nothing compared to the effect that popular apps like TikTok can have on teens.
For sure, it wastes my time.
With over 1 billion users, TikTok is all the rage. Just ask high school junior Matthew Jude Fanous.
I mean, it took a lot of time away from my school and even time away from my friends, which was really weird.
Fanous's poison is benign videos, such as history and car TikToks.
Well, I mean, really, there's any topic you can think of.
But the more videos you watch, the murkier the subject matter can get.
How do you kind of know what you're watching is, accurate?
Well, really, that's the thing, is that a lot of times you don't.
And while accuracy isn't always essential, it is critical when diagnosing mental health issues, which is why self-diagnosing TikToks are so controversial.
Oh, it's all over TikTok.
From ADHD to bipolar disorder, mental health experts like Christy Edwards at Centers worry that self-diagnosing videos like this one are making teens identify with mental health issues they don't have.
You start living what you think that you have. So you kind of start taking that on.
It's just another feather in the already full cap modern teens are wearing.
The chances of you having one of these serious mental illnesses without having prior symptomology are very slim.
Fanous suggests having a notification on the video similar to what TikTok already does on other suspect material. Some people, like mother of 3 Christine Foreman, go a bit further.
If you're not a professional or a doctor or a counselor or licensed in providing diagnoses and information, I don't think that you should be able to pass that information along.
Fanous deleted TikTok at the start of the year, a move most teens will likely find a bridge too far. And if your teen thinks they might have a mental health issue, Edwards recommends getting a diagnosis from a professional.
If your kid really believes that there's something going on, don't just shut them down.
9 by 16, I'm Joshua Skinner.
This guy will never make it in media.
CBS 7 First Alert News.
Look, I have no desire to climb anything higher than about the roof of my house, but each year, Midland City workers trek up water towers like this bad boy here, and residents are better for it.
So what is this carabiner rated for?
You might not realize that getting water to come down requires people to go up, but that's the case. Today, that person was Midland City Councilman Dan Corrales.
These tanks provide us with pressure that keep our toilets going, that keep the water running through the faucet.
It's a harrowing climb to the top, over 100 feet off the ground, an undertaking for which Midland Utilities Director Carl Crego has some advice.
If you've never been on a tower before, you definitely wouldn't want to have breakfast first.
Noted. Corrales knows this. He grew up climbing for work.
One of my jobs was to climb the domestic water tank and the fire sprinkler tanks on the top of a 20-story building on the waterfront with the wind blowing. So this wasn't as bad.
Yeah, but it's still not enticing.
This is the part that gets precarious because there's nothing underneath my leg.
2/3 of the way up where that hits me, that's when your forearms just start to burn and you want to lean back and just sit there for a minute.
It's all in the name of improving water, checking to make sure things like the paint is in good condition, the hatches open easily, there are no cracks in the structure, and that level indicators are correct.
Water isn't just, well, you open the faucet and it magically appears.
But if it seems that way, that's because someone else, sometimes way up above, is making sure everything moves below.
There's a lot of work that goes into getting that to y'all, and I'm thankful for the men and women that make that happen.
Firmly on the ground, I'm Joshua Skinner.
Couldn't pay me to do it.
CBS 7 First Alert News.